Chapter 18, Reporting Progress. Ensconced behind his grandiose desk within the walls of the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi waited with a palpable sense of anticipation. His gaze, sharpened by years of experience, lifted as the door slid open, revealing the characteristic silver-haired figure of Hatake Kakashi. "Ah, Kakashi," Hiruzen began, his tone imbued with a trace of amusement. "You're as punctual as ever, I see." The mild sarcasm had no effect on Kakashi, who merely scratched the back of his head sheepishly, ready with his usual justification. "Well, Hokage-sama, I was distracted by a black cat en route." A hearty chuckle escaped Hiruzen's lips as he decided to entertain Kakashi's whimsical excuse. "A black cat? Your peculiar fascination with them never ceases to amuse me, Kakashi." Kakashi, playing along, nodded with an air of solemnity. "Indeed, Hokage-sama." The little creature was quite obstinate, leaving me no choice but to deviate from my path. Laughter filled the room before Hiruzen signaled Kakashi to continue with the business at hand. "Enough about your feline distractions, Kakashi. I am keen to hear about our young shinobi's progress, particularly that of Naruto's teams." The jovial atmosphere evaporated as Kakashi's demeanor turned serious. "The teams are exceeding expectations," he shared, extracting a detailed report from his pouch. Hiruzen scanned the report, raising an eyebrow in mild surprise. "This is quite detailed, and not in your handwriting. Have you delegated this task?" A smile touched the corners of Kakashi's visible eye. "Actually, it's Shikamaru's work. He has an exceptional knack for details, particularly when it comes to recording training drills. He has proved to be an invaluable asset to the teams." Kakashi straightened his posture, pride shimmering in his visible eye. "Without a doubt, Hokage-sama. Their training has been rigorous, but their progress surpasses it." He then delved into the details of the team's advancements, highlighting Naruto's influential role in their development. As Hiruzen listened, visible intrigue painted across his features. The rise of a generation of remarkably skilled genin was an exhilarating prospect. However, it also raised an intriguing question. "Kakashi, are you implying that Naruto has been training the other teams as well?" Confirming with a nod, Kakashi let a smirk play behind his mask. "Indeed, Hokage-sama. It appears that Naruto's spirited leadership has had a significant influence on them. I dare say they're beginning to mirror the dynamic of Team 7 in its early days." Taken aback by the revelation, Hiruzen reached for a cup of sake. "Well, Kakashi, if this trajectory of progress persists, it appears we'll soon be dealing with a generation of astonishingly powerful genin." Intrigued, Hiruzen held up the detailed report, his eyes carefully following the meticulously drawn diagrams and annotations. "I must say, Kakashi, the level of detail in these reports is impressive. It speaks volumes about their dedication." "Shikamaru was particularly thorough," Kakashi said, allowing a touch of pride to infiltrate his usual detached tone. "His natural inclination for strategic thinking is evident in the way he has meticulously analyzed each team's progress." A chuckle broke through Hiruzen's usually composed demeanor. "Shikamaru, really? That boy spends half his time cloud watching and the other half complaining about the troublesome nature of life. It's hard to imagine him being meticulous." Kakashi's eye curved in an amused smile. "Indeed, Hokage-sama. But it appears that Naruto's influence has sparked something in him. In fact, Shikamaru's been voluntarily extending his training sessions to work on his shadow possession jutsu." Hiruzen's eyebrows shot up in surprise, and he nearly spilled the cup of sake he was nursing. "Shikamaru, extending his training voluntarily? That is unexpected." And not only Shikamaru, Kakashi continued, shuffling the papers in his hand to pull out more detailed diagrams. Ino, Choji, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, all have shown remarkable growth. Naruto's unwavering drive seems to have permeated them all, pushing them to their limits and beyond. Hiruzen sighed, leaning back into his chair, the magnitude of Kakashi's words sinking in. Naruto's influence was far more profound than he had initially realized. The boy was not only growing himself, but he was also sparking a revolution of growth among his peers. Well, Hiruzen murmured, swirling the sake in his cup contemplatively, this does make for a promising future, doesn't it? Indeed, Hokage-sama, Kakashi affirmed, his voice tinged with pride and anticipation. It certainly does. Hiruzen's eyes twinkled with curiosity as Kakashi began to describe the unexpected spectacle of the duel between Naruto and Sasuke. Their duel, Hokage-sama, was intense, Kakashi admitted, his tone laced with a hint of awe. Naruto, with his one-tailed chakra cloak, was a sight to behold. His speed and strength were superior. Yet, Sasuke matched him, using his Sharingan to track Naruto's lightning-fast movements, even managing to land a few solid hits. Hiruzen's interest was clearly piqued. Impressive. And what about their ninjutsu? Naruto has always been capable of neutralizing them. Kakashi's eye crinkled in a smile. Sasuke's fire style and lightning style have significantly improved. They've reached a level that Naruto couldn't easily neutralize. Hiruzen laughed, shaking his head in disbelief. Incredible. And what about the training ground? Kakashi chuckled, scratching the back of his head in a sheepish manner. Well, their duel was rather transformative to the landscape, to say the least. They were so engrossed in the battle, they didn't realize the extent of the damage they were inflicting. I had to step in before the final clash. Their combined power could have been catastrophic. Hiruzen's laughter filled the room. It sounds like the training grounds will need to be as resilient as our shinobi. And I suppose Sakura will be tasked with repairing the grounds? Kakashi responded with a shake of his head. Normally, yes, but the damage this time is far too extensive for Sakura to mend alone, even with her earth style. It seems the training grounds have met an adversary they couldn't withstand, Team 7's enthusiasm. The humor in the situation wasn't lost on Hiruzen. His laughter echoed through the room as he looked forward to witnessing this new generation's power firsthand. Chapter 19: The Beginning of Trials. Dawn was breaking on the day of the Chunin exams, painting the sky in vivid hues of red and gold. Team 7, 8, and 10 assembled outside Naruto's house, their faces a blend of exhilaration and nervous anticipation. The Leaf Village headbands, polished to shine, proudly adorned their foreheads, signifying their unyielding resolve. Their determination, a tangible entity, resonated in the crisp morning air, setting the tone for the monumental day that lay ahead. Naruto, positioned at the helm, scanned the faces of his comrades. A firm declaration resonated in his voice, today's the day. Remember, we're not merely representing ourselves, but the entire Leaf Village. His passionate proclamation triggered an immediate response, reverberating through the group. A collective nod, an unspoken agreement, swept across them. Their moment had finally arrived, the culmination of their rigorous training, and they were prepared for the challenge. The heart of the hidden Leaf Village thrummed with an electrifying energy. Prospective Chunin from diverse lands created a vibrant tableau, their headbands symbolizing their respective villages, contributing to the captivating mosaic of anticipation. Following their instructions, they headed towards room 301. As they ascended to the second floor, they were taken aback by an unusual scene. A crowd of genin was huddled outside a room, labeled 301, unable to gain entry. Two Chunin guards stood in their path, effectively barring them. The team shared a glance, recognition dawning in their eyes. Their rigorous training had honed their instincts, enabling them to see through the rudimentary genjutsu. As they ascended to the third floor, one of them raised a concern: shouldn't we inform the others? Naruto, however, shook his head, countering, no, if they can't see through such a simple genjutsu, they aren't ready for the Chunin rank. We might be saving them from a harsher trial down the line. They continued their ascent, reaching the real room 301. As they stepped into the buzzing room, the reality of the situation cemented itself. The Chunin exams had indeed commenced, and they had already passed the first test. The pathway to room 301, the starting point of an anticipated journey for Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and their fellow teammates, was temporarily thwarted by an unanticipated barricade. Kakashi, along with a collection of stern-looking jonin, obstructed their progress, their unyielding expressions conveying an unmistakable message: the path forward was not as straightforward as it seemed. Bewildered and impatient, Kiba blurted out, "You've got to be kidding me. Are they going to block this entry too? Why is it so hard to just enter a room? Are we supposed to fight or sneak past them?" The team stiffened, responding to his outburst instinctively by reaching for their weapons. However, Naruto was quick to catch on. "This is another test, isn't it?" he challenged the group of jonin obstructing the doorway. "You're not going to stop us from taking our Chunin exams, are you?" Drawing his weapon, getting ready for a fight. The group of jonin blinked back in confusion. Kakashi swiftly interjected, his amusement hardly hidden behind his mask. "Calm down, Naruto," he chided gently. "What did you expect? This room isn't open to the public. We can't just let anyone stroll in." Upon overhearing the exchange, Shikamaru responded with a facepalm, clearly annoyed by the overreaction. "Troublesome, but that does make sense," he grumbled. "They can't just let anyone stroll in without checking their credentials." Realizing their hasty assumptions, the teams quickly apologized to Kakashi, their heads bowed in unity. Keeping his composed demeanor, Kakashi clarified, "Present your team's recommendation letters. Entry is granted to complete teams only. If you're short of a member, well, that's unfortunate." Leading the way, Shikamaru's Team 10 was the first to present their recommendation letter. Akunoichi at the checkpoint inspected the document, then announced, "Everything's in order. Shikamaru's team, you may enter." Next came Team 8, comprised of Hinata, Kiba, and Shino. Upon presenting their paperwork and passing the inspection, they too were granted entry into room 301. However, just as Naruto's team prepared to present their documentation, a new team emerged. With Neji, Rock Lee, and Tintin in their ranks, Team 13's arrival provoked another surge of anticipation and intrigue, underscoring the thrilling challenges that lay ahead. As Team 7 continued their approach towards the entry checkpoint, a sharp voice rang out, halting them in their tracks. It was Neji, from Team 13, his tone brusque and commanding. "Hey, you," he shouted, his icy eyes fixed on Naruto. "You managed to see through the genjutsu before we did. You must have some impressive skills. What's your name?" Team 7, however, offered no response. They simply kept walking, their demeanor radiating a purposeful indifference. The poignant twinge of nostalgia within Naruto deepened. He missed the Neji he knew, the one from his timeline who was no longer in this world. As they strode past, Neji darted forward, blocking their path. With his gaze, stern and unyielding, focused on Naruto, he pressed, "Can you hear me? What is your name?" Before Naruto could react, Sasuke stepped forward. His voice, cool and dismissive, floated back to Neji, "We don't know who you are." You're just yelling at us without introducing yourself. We don't owe you any answers. Stunned by the blatant disregard, Neji's face twisted into a scowl. How dare you, he snapped. Do you even know who I am? Without breaking stride, Sasuke responded over his shoulder, we don't care. With that final retort, Team 7 disappeared into the entrance, leaving an affronted Neji in their wake. Even as they left Neji behind, the encounter left a lingering sense of disquiet in their minds. They muttered amongst themselves. What's with that guy? Sakura remarked. Sasuke added, I used to be like that, until Naruto taught me manners. Naruto remained quiet, lost in his thoughts. Has Neji always been this arrogant? Acting as if he's superior and entitled to demand answers? Despite the confusion, Naruto looked up at Sasuke, a small smile gracing his features. Wow, this Sasuke has changed. He doesn't get into unnecessary fights and cares more about his friends. Chapter 20. As the doors to room 301 closed behind them, Team 7 stepped into a palpable wave of anticipation. The room was teeming with young shinobi from all corners of the world, each radiating their own unique aura of determination and anxiety. Their headbands, each adorned with the symbol of their home village, glinted under the stark lights, highlighting the vibrant diversity of the competitors. Navigating through the crowd, Naruto's gaze inevitably fell on Gaara of the Sand, sitting quietly with his team. A knot of unease formed in Naruto's stomach. Despite their recent altercation, he knew he needed to convince Gaara to let him adjust his seal. But that was a problem for another time. Now, they had a test to focus on. Their progress was halted by a bespectacled ninja extending a friendly hand in greeting. Hello, my name is Kabuto Yakushi, he said, a congenial smile on his face. However, his hidden sound headband elicited immediate suspicion. Almost instinctively, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, joined by Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Hinata, Kiba, and Shino, swiftly drew their weapons. The sudden show of lethal intent surprised Kabuto, prompting him to swiftly retreat. Regrouping, Team 7 found a secluded corner in the bustling room to plan their next course of action. Huddled in a tight circle, their expressions were serious, their minds weighed down by the impending challenge. Their discussion was interrupted by an enthusiastic voice echoing through the hallway. A figure, outfitted in a bright green jumpsuit with a shock of bowl-cut hair, appeared at the far end of the hallway. His eyes, gleaming with fierce determination, met theirs as he boomed, "Hello, my name is Rock Lee." His voice, filled with anticipation, marked the beginning of yet another unexpected encounter. Radiating a zealous energy, Rock Lee stepped forward. I don't want to come off as brash as Neji did. So, let me introduce myself first. I want to test my skills against you, Sasuke Uchiha. In response, Sasuke, unruffled by Rock Lee's challenge, said, It's nice to meet you, Rock Lee. However, I have no interest in proving myself against you. But, why not? Rock Lee countered, surprise flickering across his face. Sasuke explained calmly, because we've just met. I prefer for us to become friends before we spar. Naruto and I spar because we're friends, and I want to prove that I'm strong enough to have him fight by my side. As for you, Rock Lee, I've just met you, and I have no reason to prove myself to you. Sakura, who had been quietly observing the interaction, nudged Naruto and whispered, Sasuke has matured, hasn't he? He really doesn't fight without reason anymore. Naruto nodded, his thoughts echoing Sakura's words, Yeah, I used to be like that too. Why are all these kids so eager to fight everyone? Unfazed by Sasuke's words, Rock Lee dropped into a fighting stance. In that case, I'll make the first move. You'll have to fight me then. Activating his Sharingan, Sasuke's gaze hardened. You can't just force people to fight you when they don't want to. You're just as rude as Neji. Suddenly, Rock Lee appeared to be battling an unseen opponent. His movements, swift and powerful yet seemingly aimless, baffled the onlookers. It dawned upon them Sasuke had cast a genjutsu on Rock Lee. As the murmuring buzz of the room filled the air, Naruto regrouped with Teams 7, 8, and 10. His gaze swept over his comrades as he addressed them, his tone serious and decisive. "Listen up, everyone," he began, ensuring he had their full attention. "This written test isn't merely a measure of our knowledge. It's also a test of information gathering and deception." Acknowledgement flickered in their eyes. Sakura gave a determined nod, Sasuke grunted his assent, and the members of Teams 8 and 10, Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Hinata, Kiba, and Shino, all signified their understanding in their own ways. Pride swelled within Naruto, buoyed by the shared resolve of his friends and teammates. Their moment of unity, however, was abruptly interrupted by a booming voice that echoed throughout the room. All eyes were drawn to the front, where Ibiki Marino, the imposing proctor of the first phase of the Chunin exams, stood. "Quiet down, everyone." Ibiki's commanding voice dominated the room, imposing silence on the crowd of young shinobi. "The Chunin exams are about to begin." His stern gaze swept over the sea of expectant faces, the intensity of his presence underscoring the gravity of the situation. "Remember, this is not just a test. Your futures as shinobi depend on your performance today." With his words resonating in the tense silence, the first phase of the Chunin exams officially commenced. This marked a significant crossroad in their journey as shinobi. The trials they were about to face would test not only their individual skills and intelligence, but also their teamwork and resolve. Chapter 21, The Written Test. Ibiki Marino, the intimidating head of Konoha's Umbu torture and interrogation force, addressed the room filled with young ninja hopefuls, his voice resonating with an authority that demanded absolute attention. "Attention, everyone." His eyes swept across the room, his piercing gaze silencing the scattered whispers. "The written exam of the Chunin exams is about to begin. You will have 2 hours to complete this test. The rules are simple. Cheating is strictly prohibited. If an exam proctor catches you cheating 3 times, your entire team will be disqualified and asked to leave the room. Is that clear?" The room was filled with murmurs of assent, the gravity of Ibiki's words not lost on the participants. The atmosphere crackled with an electric tension as the reality of the exam set in. From the corner of his eye, Naruto caught a few genin gulping nervously. "Very well," Ibiki continued, his stern gaze scanning the room once more. "Then let's begin the exam." As the exam began, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura exchanged quick glances. The challenge was on, and their journey towards becoming Chunin had officially begun. Naruto's palms were slightly sweaty as he looked at the questions. The paper was filled with advanced level strategy and contingency planning questions meant to test their cognitive and analytical abilities as shinobi. He shared a glance with Sasuke and Sakura, their shared understanding reflecting in their eyes. "We must proceed with caution," he thought to himself, "and remember our training." In the back of his mind, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in his team. They had prepared well, and despite the weight of the exam, they were ready to face whatever the Chunin exams threw at them. He quietly hoped that the other teams from the Leaf were also faring well. The sound of shuffling papers and hushed whispers filled the room, a stark reminder of the high stakes and their collective aspirations. Naruto gripped his pencil tighter, turning his focus back to the exam. The minute hand on the clock swept past the half-hour mark. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed in the silent room, followed by an immediate exclamation of surprise. The proctor, a stern woman with hawk-like eyes, had embedded a kunai into the answer sheet of a team from the Rain Village. Team 17, she announced, her voice cold and sharp as the kunai she had thrown, you've been caught cheating for the third time. Please leave the room immediately. Whispers broke out among the remaining teams, as everyone's eyes swiveled to the accused team. One of them, a lanky boy with slick hair, jumped to his feet. This is preposterous. We didn't cheat, he snapped, his voice echoing in the stunned silence. The proctor's eyes narrowed. Your protests are irrelevant. The fact remains. Please leave the room. Reluctantly, the disgraced team exited the room, the doors closing behind them with a resounding thud. Naruto watched the scene unfold and turned to his teammates. They're really strict, aren't they? He murmured. Sasuke nodded, his gaze still fixed on the now vacant seats of the Rain Village team. We need to be careful, he muttered, his Sharingan eyes flickering back to his exam paper. Sakura bit her lip, worry painting her face. It's scary how quickly things can change, she mused, her gaze lingering on the door through which the disqualified team had exited. Over the next half hour, several more teams faced the same fate. The ones who cried, the ones who argued, the ones who silently accepted their failure, they were all escorted out of the room, leaving behind an even tenser atmosphere. Yet, amidst the dismissals and the tension, Team 7 stood resolute. With each other for support and their minds focused, they were determined to face and overcome whatever challenges awaited them. As the clock marked the end of the hour, over half of the room had been vacated. The tension was palpable as the remaining genin anxiously awaited Ibiki's next move. His gaze swept the room before he finally broke the silence. To pass this exam, he began, his voice reverberating in the hushed room, you need to get one last question correct, which I will ask now. A member of the Cloud Village team muttered, so, all the previous questions were pointless if this one determines if we pass or fail. Ignoring the comment, Ibiki continued, if you answer this question correctly, you pass. But if you answer it incorrectly, not only do you fail this exam, but you're also banned from ever taking the Chunin exam again. The room fell into a stunned silence. The severity of the consequences was chilling. However, Ibiki added, if you choose to quit now, you can attempt the exam again next year. The option to quit seemed to shake many of the remaining teams. One by one, more individuals and teams rose from their seats, their faces clouded with disappointment, and exited the room. Inside his mind, Naruto conversed with Kurama. In my last life, I had an outburst which encouraged more people to stay. This time, I'll stay silent. Maybe more will leave. Ibiki broke the silence one last time. Is there anyone else who wants to quit? Another team, their faces reflecting resignation, decided to quit, leaving even fewer teams behind. Ibiki then addressed the remaining genin. Congratulations to everyone who stayed. You have all passed the first part of the Chunin exams. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Hinata, Kiba, and Shino exchanged victorious looks. They had known about the trick, yet the thrill of passing made them cheer. The grueling first part of the Chunin exams was over, but they were well aware that this was just the beginning of their journey. Chapter 22, The Next Phase. As the cheer of victory subsided, the remaining genin quickly got to their feet, energized by their success. But their celebration was cut short by the arrival of a new figure at the front of the room. A woman with jet black hair tied in two buns, a look of firm determination on her face, Anko Midarashi. All right, brats, Anko's voice rang out, bringing an immediate silence to the room. Congrats on passing the first phase, but don't get too comfortable. The second phase is going to make the first one look like a picnic. She then proceeded to explain the rules for the second phase of the exams, the Forest of Death. The mention of the infamous forest sent a shiver down some of the genin's spines, but for others, it only ignited their competitive spirits even further. Anko finished her instructions with a cruel smile. Meet here tomorrow morning, ready for the second phase. And remember, this is a survival test. Be ready for anything. As the team started to disperse, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura found themselves pulled aside by Kakashi. Good job on passing the first phase, Kakashi said, a hint of pride in his voice. But remember, the Chunin exams are not just about strength and intelligence. You need to watch each other's backs, understand each other, and most importantly, trust each other. That's what makes a great ninja team. With those final words of wisdom from their sensei, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura left the room, ready to face the trials of the Forest of Death. As the day drew to a close, the Leaf Village was alive with the buzz of the ongoing Chunin exams. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, as well as the rest of the genin, had retreated to their homes to rest for the night. They knew they would need all their strength and wit for the second phase in the morning. Meanwhile, the adults of the village couldn't help but enjoy the youthful energy that the exams had brought with them. In one of the local taverns, several jonin were sharing drinks, swapping stories about their own experiences in the Chunin exams. Meanwhile, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were huddled together, strategizing for the next day's challenge. The table was littered with maps of the Forest of Death and scrolls on survival techniques. The room was filled with a serious, focused energy, that is until Naruto, in an attempt to lighten the mood, decided to break the silence. Hey, do you guys think if I used my shadow clone jutsu, I could send the clones into the forest while we take a nap? Naruto asked, his eyes twinkling with mischief. Sakura immediately smacked him on the head. Naruto, this is not the time for jokes. This is a survival test, not a lazy afternoon nap. Sasuke merely rolled his eyes, a small smirk playing on his lips. Naruto, sometimes I wonder how you're going to become Hokage. As dawn broke over the hidden leaf village, it heralded the start of the second phase of the Chunin exams. The remaining genin, slightly fewer in number following the demanding first test, gathered at the edge of the Forest of Death, a notorious test site infamous for its perilous challenges. Their smaller group huddled together, the tension of the upcoming trial radiating off them. Despite the air of seriousness, Shikamaru couldn't suppress a yawn, the familiar look of boredom etched onto his face. Ino, ever the energetic one, nudged him, her whisper filled with words of encouragement. Come on, Shikamaru, we can do this. Hinata, quiet and observant, gave Kiba and Shino a comforting smile, her soft assurance a stark contrast to the intimidating forest looming before them. Kiba shot back a determined nod, his hand instinctively moving to pet Akamaru for comfort. Team 7, consisting of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, held a hushed discussion, their heads bowed together in a tight circle as they solidified their strategy. Naruto was mid-sentence when Anko Mitarashi, the proctor for the second phase, commanded their attention. Listen up, Genin, Anko began, her sharp gaze surveying the gathered teams. Each team will receive either a heaven or an earth scroll. Your goal is to obtain the scroll you were not given, all while protecting your own. You have 5 days to reach the central tower with both scrolls intact. Naruto raised a hand, his face pulling into a cheeky grin. Hey, Anko-sensei, what if we use a shadow clone too? Naruto, this is not the time for jokes. Sakura cut in, her eyes rolling with a mixture of annoyance and amusement. Kiba leaned into Naruto, his brow furrowed in confusion. Wait, Didn't you say something about a moon and sun scroll before? Why is it an earth and heaven scroll now? Naruto shrugged his shoulders, his grin undiminished. Small details, Kiba, I remember all the important stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. Despite the gravity of the situation, Naruto's words spurred a ripple of laughter through the group, easing the tension slightly. They were on the brink of the forest of death, their hearts pounding with anticipation. This was it. The real test had begun. Chapter 23, The Forest of Death. The second phase of the Chunin exams was not one for the faint-hearted. As the gate to the Forest of Death opened, each member of the participating teams was randomly assigned a different entry point into the ominous woodland. Once inside, they would have to face both the dangerous inhabitants of the forest and their rival teams. As Team 7 regrouped in their designated area, Sakura broke the silence. So, are we going to start by searching for the others? She asked, her gaze scanning the dense forest around them. Naruto shook his head. No, we're not. Our strength lies in frontline combat, not tracking. We'll let them come to us. Sasuke, taken aback by Naruto's response, objected. Wait, what do you mean we can't track? Of course we can. Naruto, however, stood firm. Sure, we can. But not as well as some of the others. Team 8, for instance. They're a tracker team. Hinata's Byakugan gives her 360-degree vision and a sight range of up to 2 miles. Kiba's got his acute sense of smell, and Shino, well, he's got his bugs. A wave of confusion rippled through the team at this. Wait, what do Shino's bugs do again? Sakura asked, furrowing her brow. I think they eat chakra, Sasuke replied with a shrug. Or was it that they can track? Naruto mused aloud, further fueling the confusion. A sudden burst of laughter from Sakura punctuated their debate. I think Shino is like a utility belt, and his bugs can do whatever we need them to do, she said, giggling. I mean, with how mysterious Shino is, his bugs could probably cook dinner if we asked them to. Their laughter echoed through the forest, briefly cutting through the thick tension. Naruto then brought up Team 10. They've probably come to the same conclusion as us. If I thought of it, you can bet that Shikamaru has too. As the laughter faded and seriousness took over again, they huddled closer, devising their strategy based on their understanding of their friends' strengths and weaknesses. Deep inside, they knew this was just the beginning of a taxing test that would push them to their limits. Yet, fortified by their bond and determination, they were ready to take on whatever the Forest of Death had in store for them. No sooner had they started formulating their strategy than a chilling presence made itself known. Out of the shadows slithered a figure that made Naruto's blood run cold, Orochimaru. With a swift motion, Naruto gathered his team. This is Orochimaru, he explained, his voice tense. One of the Leaf's greatest enemies, and he's leading the attack against us. Right now, he's after your Sharingan, Sasuke. Sakura, although startled, just nodded and quipped, at this point, I'm used to your spy network and information, Naruto. The ground shook beneath them as Orochimaru summoned a giant snake. The snake lunged at the team, who quickly scattered in different directions to avoid the incoming attack. Sakura, thinking on her feet, landed a solid punch, knocking out the snake. Regrouping, Naruto admitted, he's stronger than me in my four-tail form. I don't have enough control to safely activate the fifth tail yet. Sasuke's eyes widened at his confession. Are you saying he's stronger than us? He asked. Naruto nodded, yes, but I have backup on the way. We just need to hold him off until they arrive. Without another word, Naruto activated his one-tail chakra shroud as Sasuke's Sharingan came to life. Meanwhile, outside the forest, one of Naruto's shadow clones stood alert, ready to step in at a moment's notice. This was going to be a long day. Outside the perimeter of the perilous forest of death, a Naruto's shadow clone was crafting chaos. Masquerading as Orochimaru with a startling level of accuracy, this playful doppelganger was stoking the embers of panic in the village, strategically luring the leaf ninjas into a tempestuous chase. The clone, in Orochimaru's guise, was reveling in the thrilling pursuit. A devilish grin stretched across the imposter's face as it initiated a taunting game with the relentless pursuers. "You're weak. Can't even keep up, can you?" The clone's laughter echoed through the village as it artfully dodged the flurry of attacks from the frustrated leaf ninjas. Every dodge, every jeer, served to fuel their resolve and heighten the tension. The clone decided to twist the knife a little more. "Didn't your fat mother teach you to run faster?" it taunted, its boisterous laughter resonating through the environment and adding to the rising chaos. The reaction was as instant as it was furious. "How dare you insult my mother?" roared one of the ninjas, his resolve stealing with every passing moment. The chase escalated into an all-out sprint, with the disguised clone consistently maintaining the lead, delving deeper into the forest of death. With each taunt, each provocation, the clone's gambit was working. It was successfully leading the leaf ninja away on a wild goose chase. The realization that Orochimaru had supposedly infiltrated the forest of death began to slowly dawn upon the leaf ninjas, unbeknownst to them that this was all part of Naruto's grand scheme. Eventually, a leaf ninja approached Anko, urgently reporting, "Orochimaru has been sighted entering the forest of death." Anko's face hardened at the news. "This is bad. We need to assemble a squad and locate Orochimaru." As for the exam, she paused, considering the gravity of the situation. "We can't halt it immediately. Gathering all the genin will take time. The best course of action is to continue the exam while we find Orochimaru."